Borderlands 4 is coming up on its first full week of being released. And there's been a ton of press, a ton of videos about a lot of the bad things that are currently happening in Borderlands 4. Well, in this video today, I want to jump into that quote unquote one hard truth about this current state of the game. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos. So let me just give you the down and dirty of the way Borderlands actually is. It's fucking great. I think that a lot of people think that the game is in a terrible state because of all of these articles that are out there, so on and so forth. But if you look at the Steam DB, there are hundreds of thousands of players playing right now. The amount of reviews that reflect actual poor state of game is quite low by comparison to that total number of players. Now, of course, too, there are console players as well, and that number makes it much larger. And the reality, too, is that this Borderlands 4 is a great step forward for the series. Unfortunately, right, as no matter what you hear about what Randy Pitchford has said, the game actually is a vast improvement on the disappointment that was Borderlands 3. If you liked Borderlands 2 or you liked Tiny Tina's, this game kind of combines both of those games in a really good way to give you an amazing step forward in the series, as I said before. Some of the things that exist that are really great. This is an open world game that isn't so linear that it restricts you in the way you're playing, but not so large that it's going to take hours to complete. You have a lot of really great things when it comes to build diversity with each one of your 4 starting Vault Hunters, because we're going to have 2 coming in the roadmap, each having their own skill and talent trees that allow for a lot of variety that also feels very impactful. Borderlands 3 did not have a really great skill/talent system that made it feel like it was really changing much. This game very much does. Also, the licensed part system that allows you to play with one type of weapon and then add different layers into it. Those things are really great steps forward for the game. Now, there are some cons. The game's multiplayer does have some bugs, but that's easily fixed by simply jumping back to main menu and then loading back in. And it depends on if you encounter those. Also, there are performance issues, but I will talk about this in the performance issues section. Those performance issues are linked to older computers. And as a bit of, I guess, a hot take, the expectation of having a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old computer and expecting it to run at high graphic settings is really not feasible. The reality is the actual visual fidelity difference between medium settings and the most extreme is not that vast. So play the game on medium, play it on low, and you probably will have a great time doing it. But the biggest takeaway I want you to get from this video is that you should not listen to what game articles say, because they're trying to drive your viewership through negativity and clicks. You should not listen to what content creators say. I'm one of them. I'm just some guy on the internet. The game has a policy or Steam has a policy. You can play a game for 2 hours, and as long as you've not played over 2 hours, you can return it. So you should ask your friends that actually play Borderlands or your friends that play similar games. Ask them, hey, have you played Borderlands? What's your take on it? Because someone on the internet is just going to try to drive your viewership because it helps their bottom line. And I'm included in that mix. So if you have the chance, go ahead and buy it and then refund it if you don't like it. And I will also say the biggest thing about this game too that is a bit of a contention is a $70 game. You have to ask yourself, do you have the bandwidth to put 70 hours into a video game? My, I guess, measurement for whether a game is the price point that it is dependent upon, I do a dollar per hour. If it's a $50 game, I want at least 50 hours of gameplay from it. At a $70 game, or $70 game, I want 70 hours of gameplay from it. I feel that I can get that and I can play it with friends, and I love the Borderlands series. But if you don't have all those same checkboxes I just mentioned, it's not worth 70 bucks. You know it's going to go on sale because that's just what 2K does with their games. They always go on sale during massive sales. So just simply wait for it. And I guess too, another big thing here is the biggest thing that Borderlands 4 has going against it is that Randy Pitchford has access to social media, shooting himself in the foot every time it gets a positive step forward. But that's a too long didn't watch this entire video. The game is in a great state, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a final real good step forward for the series. And if that's all you want to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can jump forward to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline in the description. I'll just be talking about pros, cons, different points, or things that I particularly like about the game. Also, if you are heading out and you found the video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. And you can check me out on Twitch, where I am streaming this game currently live as I record this kind of review every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But let's get started here on the hard truth you need to know about Borderlands 4. Let's open up this conversation now with the biggest thing that I think is really kicked around a lot on the internet, and it's the performance issues for Borderlands 4. Borderlands 4 is going to have performance issues if you do not meet the recommended requirements, which is a 3080 graphics card. And recommended requirements, is that what I'm going to go with? Yeah, I guess I'm going to stick with that. With the recommended specs for the game, at this point, that is a 5-year-old graphics card. So you're probably looking at something around medium to low medium graphic settings with some frames per second drop below 60. I'll be honest, I have a 4090, I have a super AMD 9900 3XD, whatever like the newest chipset out is, and I'm floating when I'm not actually using recording or streaming, I'm over 100 frames per second. I run frame gen, and I don't use TPS. TPS is the proprietary Epic Games upscaling. Don't use that if you get this game. Use DLSS or use the AMD's, I think it's Xfinity or whatever it is. I think those things are really kind of hurting people's performance of the game. But no one I have talked to that has played this game, and when I stream, I'll ask all the time, hey, who's having problems? Who's experiencing crashing? Who's experiencing the game hanging? There was only one person who legitimately had an issue, and then I asked, hey, did you update your drivers? And the individual said that they didn't. So a lot of those performance issues seem to be fixed with drivers, or they seem to just not be existent, or people are causing or forcing crashing by alt-tabbing. That's something that I personally had an experience for. I alt-tabbed too much and the game was like, and just crashed on me. So that happens. But the performance issues seem to be complicated across the internet because I think it's just an easy thing to talk about. Which brings me to my next point about the current state of how people are receiving the game. So one thing that I experienced when playing Diablo 4 is that sometimes people don't want a game to succeed. And Diablo 4 is an excellent example. Whether you like that series or not, whether you have a problem with Blizzard or not, Diablo 4 was a great game at launch. Had a lot of really great things going for it. It was a great step forward for the series, finally, and everything was awesome. They had these great campfire chats that showed that the developers were listening. It moved in places that people wanted. They didn't break anything. And it really wasn't until their first season that they shot themselves in the foot. And it's been playing a game of catch up ever since, especially with Path of Exile 2 and Last Epoch. But that's not the point of this video. The point, though, is that while it was experiencing a lot of success, there was nothing but negative press about it. Content creators would only release negative videos about it, like, can't believe Blizzard did this now. And websites like Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot, any massive publication or media production would only release negative articles about it. We're seeing the same thing happen here with Borderlands. If you type in Borderlands 4 articles or something like that into Google, either you're going to see an article about Borderlands 4 is releasing a vinyl of its soundtrack, because who the fuck cares about that? Or you're going to see some form of negative press about another thing related to Borderlands 4's many clickbaity or hot button topics. And it's a symptom that we have with a lot of games right now, is that we don't let the good games succeed when they should succeed. And I think it's like, yeah, it's a AAA game, man. Like, oftentimes this is attached to tyrannical game and consumer practices, and I get it. I 100% get it. But it is actually a good game that is in a good place, and it's not being allowed to succeed. Well, it's not being allowed to be perceived as succeeding. And that's another big point here, is that the game is actually like crushing it. As far as you look at SteamDB, if I were to go to SteamDB right now, it had a peak of 229,000. I'm sorry, an all-time peak of 304,000. I have no idea what that correlates to across consoles. So I'm sure that number, if you were to combine those two, is even higher. So those are all things to factor in, that while it has a 304,000 peak player, if we were to look at the actual reviews for Borderlands 4, and you take a look at, like, there's only 19,000 reviews. So let's round that number up to 20,000, right? 20,000 against 304,000. That's the amount of people for Steam that have made reviews, not the amount of people that have made negative reviews, which is another big portion of it. So if we were to take that number and look at the review type, 12,000 are genuine negative reviews. So we have this inflated sense that the game is in a terrible state because of how common it is to cover all of these negative things about it. But with that being said, there are actual cons to the game, things that the game doesn't really do very well. So let me just bring those up first, because the rest of this video is going to be positive, and I wanted to get this other bullshit out of the way. There are some multiplayer bugs, and they're more quirky than they are catastrophic. It's like, oh, my gun, for some reason, only one specific gun will stop firing, or I can't open this chest, I can't see this loot on the ground over here. Little quirky things like that. It doesn't seem to be present, though, if you are the host of the multiplayer room. So if it's your game that people are playing in, then you won't experience it. But your friends might experience little things here and there, and they fix that by simply going to the main menu and loading back into the game. And since you can immediately fast travel to anyone, it doesn't really have too much of an effect. It's easily kind of rectified there. So those quirky bugs are kind of part of the charm of Borderlands in a lot of ways, because the game's just so wonky. Like, they're not like, oh man, my character just got deleted, or oh, great, cool, I can't do anything, I'm stuck in outer space. Like, they're just kind of like zany little things that seem to be easily fixed, and will hopefully be easily fixed with a patch. Also, there is a lot of quest awkwardness. When you go to do quests, sometimes it'll say, hey, this quest is in this location, and you'll get to that location and you can't really find the thing you're trying to find. It's not like very cut and dry. It points to general directions, and you can press a little bot that helps you track, but it just brings you to the location to find something. I have spent more time frustrated that I couldn't find something for a quest than I have just like completing those outright quests. So those are things that are definite cons. Like quest markers or highlighted items would definitely help. Would definitely help there. But I guess as far as the story goes as it relates to that, this isn't a con. It's actually really good. It's a lot more serious while still keeping the charm and humor of Borderlands intact, but it doesn't like... Borderlands 3 didn't take itself serious the entire time, so there was no real stakes. It was almost like watching like a Marvel movie where you're like, okay, well, I know they're going to save the day because they don't even think they're in danger. Borderlands 4, you actually have a sense of like, oh, this might not turn out well, which has made for a very fun story progression. While we've gone through a lot of the negative things about the game, we've talked a lot about the stuff that people have brought up as typical talking points or pain points with Borderlands 4. Let me show you a lot of the things that I think are a great step forward for the actual series. So here's the map, and I don't want to show you every little thing because I'm not there yet, but you can see that this is not a very large portion. This is not a very large portion. Same with here. So the open worldedness of this is not so inconceivably large that it becomes exhausting. And I think this is a symptom that we see of a lot of open world games. You jump into an Assassin's Creed game, you're like, oh, this game is fun and cool. Holy shit, I have to do so many collectibles. Or you jump into, it's kind of more like Star Wars Fallen Order. Yeah, the two new Star Wars like Dark Souls light games, where they are open world to a sense, right? There's a linear progression through the open world areas. This is a little bit more, you know, of an amalgamation of blobs, but it still is a lot easier to just kind of go, okay, I'm going to go over to this location or this location and knock out these little things are the side stuff you can do. And this game has a ton of little side things you can knock out. I don't think there's any on the map right now. We just did one right over here. That was this massive meteor coming down. So we had to go grab all these little things, throw them into all these little ore things, throw them into an extractor. And we got rated on how many we could do. We got up to a platinum reward, so it gave us even more rewards. So there's a lot of these little things that you can do that just really break up the monotony of the typical Borderlands formula. Because the Borderlands formula before has been run a map, kill the boss, get the thing from the boss, and hope you get a legendary, and just keep doing that ad nauseum. And the fact that it's not like that is a lot better. You get these little things right here, these vault fragments that eventually unlock a vault, which it's its own experience with its own boss and its own type of challenge. And it's really, really fun. But that's an example of another thing. And further too, we talked about doing bosses and locations. Well, now you can just go through a location and spawn the boss. You run to the end of the location where that boss would have been, you pay money and you spawn the boss, and you can just do that infinitely. So you don't need to keep running that location over and over and over again. So all these blue things are ones I haven't done, and the green ones are ones I need to do. So those are huge step forwards to make this open world feel alive without making it feel stagnant. Now, another big thing here, too, is the way that your guns operate. You'll see that I have 4 Jacobs guns, the typical, God, actually, this is a whole entire, I'm Jacobsed out right now. I didn't even realize that. But if I were to look at this gun, you can see that the manufacturer, the prime manufacturer is Jacobs. Now, this is something if you're a Borderlands veteran, if you've never played a Borderlands game before, then you can ignore this part, but still. I can then get licensed portions from other manufacturers that will then give me the features of what that manufacturer might be. So for example here, I have a Atlas licensed underbarrel, which fires tracker grenades, tagging enemies that your projectiles will home in on for 8 seconds. TDOR licensed accessories, which gives me an MRV, and it's a Jacobs gun. Or this one I think has got Ripper. Yeah, so Ripper's on this. That's a legendary. This also has Atlas licensing. So there's a lot more diversity in the way that the weapons interact with the game. And on top of that too, you get access to cooler, more unique and zany Borderlands style weapons at like level 4. Versus previous games, you always had to wait till the end game to really get the cool ones of like a gun that shoots a gun, you know, like the crazy stuff that you typically get from Borderlands. You get access to it quicker. Another big step too is grenades are no longer grenades anymore. It's called ordnance. So I can have this blaster. You have like a heavy Gatling gun right here. A bunch of different things that exist for that ordnance slot that's not just simply grenades. And grenades, just like before, are a bunch of different types. But it is fun that you get all this diversity and ways to play that is a lot more enjoyable. As a quick kind of call out to improvements to the game, SDU and customization has been vastly improved compared to previous titles and Borderlands 3 in specific. So the SDUs, ways to improve my pistol ammo capacity and what have you, this is all just done through the inventory menu. You go and do any number of those little things I showed you on the map, you will get this currency right here, and you come over here and just simply buy your backpack upgrade, whatever. So for example, I'm going to finish off my backpack upgrade. Boom, we got that completed. I didn't have to go anywhere to do it. It's just all right there, and it's easy to take care of. And customization too, on that same breath, is done in a similar fashion. You go and do all those little mini things across the entire map. You get these customizations, and you just simply pop them on whenever you want. And there's a lot more of them. Like it used to just pretty much be, oh yeah, color the character and choose some heads. Well, now you get different types of like armor that you can wear, different styles for the way your colors interact that also then like change like your character's eyes like this. I think there's another one like that too, like this one, stuff like that. There was a cool one, I thought. That one, yeah, that one. And then further, I just jump over here to the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, and I can color this even further. And the same thing with my little bot that helps me, my vehicle or mount that we get to use to traverse this whole entire open world easier, the weapons that I want to use, I just simply press this button and just do it. So accessing all these customizations, all these SDUs is a lot easier, and that makes it a lot better of an experience. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and probably one of the most important things, is the Vault Hunters and your skill system. The skill system in this game is just that much better. My friend identified Borderlands 3 skill system perfectly when he used the word anemic. You would do all these things in Borderlands 3. You would just pretty much stack one specific bonus per Vault Hunter and roll with it, and then you'd have a face rolling character. And that was kind of the biggest point of the game. But now I've got 3 skill trees per Vault Hunter, and then I have these abilities like augments or capstones that then further change and increase the ability or lean in specific directions. So I'm playing Amon or Amon because it's a reference of Amon Amarth, an amazing band that everyone should listen to. And I'm focusing on a minion build. So every time I use my abilities, I summon up a disembodied weapon to go attack things for me. And then these capstones at the bottom then completely morph abilities to be an entirely different way. So this is a great way to just get so much more mileage out of a character rather than just playing the same character, using the same ability, modifying certain things within that ability, and that's it. No, each one of these trees is a different ability I get to use. And these trees then lean towards different play styles, different weapon emphasis, different defensive bonuses, whatever it is. There's a bunch of different damage types, so maybe I'll lean into specific elements. All sorts of facets that are part of the building process that allows for a lot of skill and build diversity within this game. I lied to you. There is actually one final thing I want to talk about, and it is the bosses. Bosses in Borderlands 4 are not boring. The first like 2 or 3 are very rudimentary, like, yeah, kill this guy, it's a big ripper, of course, yeah, whatever, that's a typical Borderlands experience. But then when you start to do like the act bosses, because there's basically 3 major acts of the game, the capstone boss or the act boss for each one of those is very mechanic heavy, and it's fun and it's enjoyable, and it's not just so like, okay, find the weak spot, shoot the weak spot as many times as you can with a sniper rifle and you've killed the boss. No, you have to dodge all the mechanics. It has a health gating system, so you can't just burst it down. It'll go through phases. All these things make for a very fun experience doing the bosses and redoing the bosses to be hectic and crazy and fun, rather than just, cool, I'm gonna kill this one boss by shooting its vulva a bunch of times with a sniper rifle and hoping that I get a legendary item. That, I think, makes the core of the game is loot. It's true of looter shooters, it's true of action RPGs, hack and slash, Diablo clones. It's true of all of them. But you also want that loot to be somewhat fun to get. Doing ball runs in Diablo 2 was also a fun experience. Running Mephisto was also a fun experience. It's the same thing here. Doing these bosses now is actually rewarding and good, rather than just like, yeah, cool, just gonna shoot this shit until it dies, and then you get something cool out of it. I just finished one of the big bosses last night, and I was like, damn, that was such a good boss. And I can't wait for other people to experience it, because it's not like too far into the game. I'd say it's like 40% in. And I've already talked to another one of my friends who's like, that's like the best boss fight I've ever had in Borderlands. Doing the vault bosses, they're fun and unique too. All the major bosses actually have a lot of flavor to them. But at that, it brings our video here to a close. So you get to decide. Do you think that this game sounds like a game you want to put $70 into? And if you don't want to put $70 into, that's fine. You just simply wait for the game to go on sale. Like I said before, if you've got enough bandwidth to put 70 hours into a video game right now, then that $70 price tag shouldn't be too much of a shock. Well, it'll be a shock. It's a $70 fucking price tag. And I think too, like I said before, the biggest problem is that Randy Pitchford keeps making comments about the price. If he were just to like not talk anymore and just let the game speak for itself, it would do better. Do you like playing Borderlands? Have you played all the previous Borderlands? Do you have friends to play Borderlands with? Or can you jump into a community that has people that want to play Borderlands with you? All those things make for the reason you should play the game. If you don't have 70 hours, shit, you don't have 70 bucks. You don't have friends that want to play these games. You've never played a Borderlands. Maybe it's worth waiting until it's on sale. There's no reason to jump into a game so heavily because it's the talk of the town on the internet. In 2 weeks, that's what it's going to be for Battlefield 6. It's just always going to be a flavor of the month cycling conversation. So don't just kind of get swept up in the wave of the hype of the game. The game's great, and I think it's an awesome, badass game if this video is not evident enough. But ask yourself, does it fit the type of game you like to play? Is it the play style you want to take advantage of? If it is, you're gonna really love it. If it's not, if you're on the fence, I don't think you'll really enjoy it because you're on the fence about it to begin with. Wait until it's on sale or jump about it at full price, depending on your preference of game. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have anything you want to say about Borderlands 4, you know, hey, I've been playing it and I experienced all these bugs and all these crashes and you're totally full of shit, let it be known in the comment section below. Give people an honest reaction to the game so they can make an informed decision. Right now, I think a lot of people are reacting to a third party's response to the game on a media platform of either content creation or articles. And the reality is, you're going to play the games that you want, that your community plays. And those are the ones that are going to be a better indication of whether or not you're going to like it. My friends telling me that a game's good is what makes me buy it, not so much the reviews. So hopefully this video kind of broke up that analysis paralysis you might be having about the game. Again, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.